Well, welcome to Southern Signature Unlocked. And I'm sitting beside of Renee, who is our broker in charge and has bailed me out of thousands of situations.
She's giving me panic attacks.
Yes. Sure. And so for this episode, we'll open up with the hardest lesson that you have ever learned. And you can only choose one topic. You only one topic.
I had two, and she just told me that I could use both.
You can use both. I'll let you break the rules, even though you won't let me.
Mine was coming into real estate, which was almost 20 years ago, which I know seems crazy because I look so young. But
good skincare.
Yeah. Rose-colored glasses, I just thought that everything was going to be easy breezy, that you just meet somebody and, just hit it off and, that everything that came your way was going to work out. And that is not it at all. I mean, I've been ghosted more times than I can count. And it's hard. And in the beginning, it weighed pretty heavy on me. But through the years, I've got some tough skin and you just learn how to let it go. So I do have another one though. And I tell this to all the agents, and it's very important that what you're doing right now is what is going to work out in 6 months to a year. So it takes time. It really takes time to close a deal. So you have to stick with it and be strong and get up in the morning and make hay while the sun shines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think that real estate advice and relationship advice do go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And I would say don't ever put anything in writing that you wouldn't want in court.
Correct.
Also, document. Mm-hmm. Because in the heat of the moment, nobody's going to remember what anybody has said. And so forgive me if I send a text and it seems off-putting, but I have learned, thank heavens, through Renee, that you have to cover your tracks and you have to remember to retell the story because unfortunately, we live in a world of a 3-year look backs. Mm-hmm. And
it could go further than that.
It could go further than that. Yeah. And so, we remember the excitement of when we were able to hand you the keys or when we were able to get the terms in which we got to the closing table, but in 2 years we may not. And so to look back through an email or a text is so important. And it really is a smoking gun.
And conversations. Yeah. I mean, important conversations should be documented as well.
Yeah.
Well, mine's kind of the same as that. I've learned you get it in writing. Obviously, you're right about some things. If you don't want it in court, you don't put it in a text or an email. I get that. But you back up those conversations and especially agent to agent. That's the thing that I found because some agents like to talk a lot and they say a lot. And then when the rubber meets the road, it ain't nothing like what that conversation you had was. So, as an agent, we need to make sure that we follow that up with an email or a text, just saying, hey, did I understand this right? Here's what I got from the conversation. I'm just following up on that. Something to that effect so that we can make sure everybody's on the same page. Because, that's just been one of the biggest lessons I've learned is you get it in writing, you document it, and you make sure. Because I guess that rose-colored glass type situation, because I'm a pretty honest person. I don't think anybody can sit here and say, I'm never dishonest or I never tell a lie. However you want to word it, we all are going to tell a lie to some degree. We're human. We're going to say you look good when you don't. Sorry. I'm going to say that we like those shoes when we really don't. I mean, we're not going to come right out a lot of times.
Well, Candy.
Well, you're not going to dress real bad. But you know what I'm saying,
There's
right?
Always something nice.
Right, exactly. So I'm bad about thinking that everybody's going to be the same way, that they're always going to say it exactly like it is, or they're going to be honest about stuff. Or I mean, even sometimes it's the interpretation on my end or somebody else's end. Just make sure everybody's on the same page. It's very, very important for a smooth transaction and people to be happy in the end. And if you have to go back 3 or 4 years from now and look at stuff, you want to be able to understand what transpired in that, because, we get, honestly, once you're closed and you're in a home and you're happy, we're past that. I mean, we're on to the next client that we're working with, right? We're not thinking about yours necessarily anymore. So when you come back 3 years later and ask a question, we need to be able to try to remember that, because we're not going to remember the conversation, but we're going to hopefully remember what we've got put in an email or a text, right?
So kind of in that same vein, we're all on the same side. We all want the house to sell. Don't burn bridges. I'm not one to burn bridges, but like, we all want the house to sell. So like, if you don't get something under contract that you think, maybe you should have, don't go and cuss that agent out. Like, don't, just be cool about it, because you will be on the other side of a deal at some point.
Are you saying like don't be butthurt?
Yes, like grow thick skin. I'm sorry. I what you see is what you get with LB. So I'm not one to sugarcoat things. I'm not one to, if your shoes look bad, Candy, I'm gonna tell you your shoes look bad. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you about it.
Look at my shoes.
But just be honest with people, and don't get butthurt about things. Like, you've got to have a thick skin in this business, and you've got to be able to hear no. You've got to be able to know when to be like, okay, that's fine. Good luck. Do your thing.
Well, and let me just say this to on behalf of all self-employed entrepreneurs. We get up in the morning, and what we are able to pay our bills or do whatever at the end of the month is a reflection of what emotionally we've been through. And if you've been through something on the personal side, those little hurdles along the way are felt tremendously on the professional side, because we do have to wake up, and you do have to look at yourself in the mirror and encourage yourself to do better than what you did the day before. But if you have something in your personal life that's been really hard to overcome, heck, even not getting a good night's sleep, it makes that transaction. It's a lot of hurdles that you have to jump over. And so, not that gives anyone any excuse for being ugly or to saying something, but, being a self-employed person, it makes you very cognizant of how short or long your fuse is.
Mm-hmm. But, that also goes back to grow thicker skin. People have issues. Things happen. If you get butthurt by somebody, they may be a completely different person the next day.
Do you have any tricks for going to sleep?
So I'm very ADHD over here. Y'all all know this. So my brain, I have to have Charmed on. Like, I have to have Charmed on in the background, because I know it backwards and forwards. I could quote the entire series, and I can.
You have to have what?
Charmed, like the series from like the 90s. Well, actually, really 2000s. But anyways, so I have to have it on the background, because I can turn that on, close my eyes, and I can see it. I can see it in my mind with my eyes closed, and that gives my brain something to think about, other than what I did 15 years ago that I can't do anything about at this point. But my mind replays things. And like, whether it was the deal that I had yesterday, or, the fact that I stepped on someone's foot 10 years ago. Like, my mind just goes through random things, and I have to have something on in the background that I know can close my eyes and can still see it, for myself to actually be able to calm down enough to go to sleep.
Justin, do you have to have anything to make you?
Not really.
Really?
I just take a sleeping pill.
Really? Yeah. I typically I like the room dark. So just shut it out. Yep.
Dark and silent, I'm good. I don't want to hear nothing except the sound of my dog snoring.
Oh,
That's it. Nothing else. No music, no TV.
I have the TV on sometimes.
I don't even have newsflash. You do not need a TV in your bedroom. Take it out. I have not had a TV in my bedroom since I'm 20 or 30. I'm old now, so I'm trying to think. over 20 years for sure, maybe 25 years. No TVs in your bedroom. I've got one TV down. Well, I've got a TV in my office, which never gets turned on, and I've got a TV in the living room, and then we got one in the bonus room upstairs. That's it. One outside, but no, but that doesn't get turned on either. So,
Do you take your phone to bed with you?
yeah, but it's because it's my alarm clock. But I do look at TikTok.
Yes. I love
Sometimes
TikTok right now.
laying in the bed. But not. I don't have it on like a long time usually, unless I go down a rabbit hole. And by rabbit hole, I mean I watch videos of TV programs. But yeah, I don't think you need that. Well, that's just me. I don't have a TV in mine, so sellers take that out.
What, do I need anything to go to sleep?
No.
Oh, the hardest lesson?
What's your hardest lesson? Get back on task.
Gosh.
We've
I
learned
would,
a lot.
yeah, I'd say the biggest one is verify everything.
Yeah.
Verify everything. Whether you're helping a buyer buy a property or you're listing one, verify everything. If they say it's on sewer, check and see if there's old septic on there. Even if you know it's on sewer now and they can provide you a bill, because we've seen that before where someone's getting billed for sewer and they are really still on septic.
Yep.
We've seen it too.
It can happen. Because at the end of the day, you're the one left holding the bag for that. So just verify everything.
Absolutely. And there was one, I can't remember if I was here yet or not. But anyways, one of our coworkers had a house that they went under contract with, like had already closed, yada yada. They had an old oil tank in the basement, and the caps, it wasn't capped off. So the oil company that was supposed to be filling up next door ended up, the oil tank was gone, but the caps weren't capped off. So like they ended up going next door where the caps weren't capped off, but the oil tank was gone, and they ended up flooding their basement with oil. And it wasn't supposed to be their house that they were going to either. So
That's on the oil company.
yes, but still verify. Make sure that everything is on the up and up. And like, yeah.
What am I verifying on that? I mean, seriously, as an agent, I'm thinking, what am I verifying on that? That there's not
Just
cap.
make sure that the caps,
I
that
mean-
everything is capped off, and which the inspector should have been able to tell you.
Well, not only that, I mean, the person bought. I'm sorry, this is probably may hurt somebody's feelings. You buy a home. That's your responsibility. Now, that's the biggest thing from real estate that we've learned from people is nobody wants to take responsibility for their decisions or their choices they make in life or the home, whether it be buying a home or car or whatever.
It is home ownership.
That's right. It's a cost of home ownership. You bought a home. You make sure it's capped off. An animal could have got down that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Think about that a minute. It's not just unfortunate the oil company showed up to the wrong place. That's terrible. But that's not necessarily your agent's fault.
No.
Or responsibility to tell you to cap that off. You know what I mean? You bought a home. It's just like this. You buy a home. It gets cold out here. You bought it 2 months ago. It wasn't that cold. Your pipes freeze. That, again, is your responsibility to have known to keep that, to do that. If you're not ready to buy a home, don't buy one. But these are parts of it. This is part of it. Your water heater goes out 3 months after you buy a home. You are responsible for replacing that. Dishwasher, refrigerator, whatever it is, that is your responsibility to take care of that. And that's part of home ownership, and it is important to know that. Mowing the grass. Nobody's going to come by and do that for you unless you are in an HOA that handles the grass. But you have to do those kind of things. And, it's scary for folks. It doesn't matter if they're young first-time home buyers or they're older folks buying a home. These are your responsibilities, not your agents. We're here to help you buy a home and help you check as many of those boxes as we can and make sure that we've done home inspections and looked at everything we can, but we can't think of everything. You know what I mean? You've got to think for yourself sometimes.
Well, and there's no, we don't know an expiration date on these mechanical systems.
Right. Nobody does.
No one does. You can hire a HVAC person to come out there and even do an inspection on that. They cannot tell you that this system will last 3 more months, 3 more days, 3 more years. It can't be done.
Nope. We've seen brand new water heaters have problems. Brand new HVACs have problems. Things happen during construction.
I've seen 8-year-old roofs need to be replaced. I have seen 30-year-old shingles be in fine condition.
Yep.
and I've seen everything else in between. So, things happen.
Yep.
These are man-made products.
Yeah. When you're talking about a roof, I mean, this is a different topic, but apparently now most insurance companies are requiring your roof to be less than 20 years old, or else they won't insure you. We'd love to have somebody from the insurance.
Yes, that would be good.
Weigh in on this, but I've heard that there's some companies that want your roof to be less than 5 years old.
What?
Really?
But as a general rule of thumb, it's 20 years. And so I feel like that's somewhat unfair because a 20-year roof could have a valid 10 extra years left, or it could be needing replaced in the next couple of years. But that's something that doesn't matter if you're getting if you're paying with cash or a loan or whatever. And it comes up at the very end because it's whenever the insurance is being bound. Again, this is maybe a great topic for another one, but so if your insurance isn't bound until the last 10 days before closing, and your due diligence date has expired, what do you do about a new roof? I mean, these are things that it just kind of snuck out there.
Yeah. Well, I think the change came, this is me thinking, that change came about when we had all these free roofs got done with the insurance companies, right? Think about it. You rewind 3 years, we didn't hear this. Now that we had a hailstorm and everybody and their brother is advertising on Facebook and somewhere else that they got a free roof, it's not free. Somebody paid for that, and that somebody's you and me. All of us paid for that. And now we're paying for it even more because my 20-year-old roof I'm not able to get insurance on, or the whatever, roofs are getting replaced sooner because of that, maybe theoretically. Point being, that is why I think that we've seen that increase in that. We've had a buyer recently say that the insurance company told them 5 years. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when asphalt shingle, the materials have never been better on them, and we have great build science now too.
Yeah.
We have great building science now too.
Yeah.
These asphalt shingles, some of them are coming with 35-year warranties.
Hey.
Why are we denying coverage after 5 years?
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
0 cents. And honestly, we do know this to be true. Yes, this does come up sometimes on the 20-year roof or whatever, but we also see homes closed with roofs that are way older and nobody questions anything. And I don't know if it's because the age of the roof is unknown, meaning the disclosure that's provided by the seller on the listing doesn't have a date. There's no way to really know other than that. You know what I mean?
That's also why we get things inspected, though,
Right.
which they can't come up with an exact date.
They can't.
But, they can kind of give an estimate of.
Well, yeah, and you would think that the home inspector, their opinion should weigh in it somewhat.
Yeah,
or if the insurance company is going to demand this blanket policy that if your roof's less than 20 years old, it has to be new. Well, what if they don't know how old it is?
Right.
Then you go to you said the build science and how well the shingles are. And if it's necessary, then I think we would all agree that, yeah, that's a great policy, but don't just a blanket.
Right. Because a lot of times these 8-year-old roofs need to be replaced. They may have had a 35-year architectural shingle put on them, but it was a bad install. Or they've covered up a gable vent, or they've covered up a ridge vent, and now the attic gets too hot, and now these are breaking apart. There's so many things that can happen.
That's what I asked you. You also are a GC, and that or not. Why would an 8-year-old roof need to be changed?
Probably, most likely, it would be a bad install. It would just be a bad install. Bad nailing patterns not following specs. If you've got valleys in the roof, they probably just weren't installed properly. There's certain ways you have to do valleys. If they've covered up a ridge vent, if it's a vented attic and they've covered up a ridge vent, you're preventing all the hot air from escaping in the attic in the summer. So the attic gets too hot, it can only kind of permeate through the, whatever your base is on that shingle, and it's going to go through the shingle, and the shingle's going to get too hot, start breaking apart.
So wouldn't this is probably a very stupid question, but wouldn't that also have to do with insurance on the person that installed the roof. So as long as you didn't get Joe Blow down the street to install it, wouldn't they have some sort of insurance of if it fails within the first however many years or something like that, that they would get it replaced through the roofing company?
Yes, totally. But the problem is, most of the time, if you have a bad install on a roof, it was done by that Joe Blow company that's not
Wow.
around in 8 years.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
that's true.
the problem.
Yeah.
That's a good
That's-
topic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the topic there. When you are hiring professionals,
Hire professionals.
professionals.
Yes.
that come with warranties,
Mhm.
it's worth it. Don't
Mhm.
hire,
Joe Blow down the street.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes Joe Blow down the street can save you a lot of money, and it's kind of worth the gamble.
Mhm. If you have experience with them before and you know they do a good job, yes. But you can really get hosed too sometimes.
That too.
You can really get a bad job.
And also, like, you know, handyman type stuff, like fixing doors, that type stuff. Absolutely hire Joe Blow down the street. But like roofing and the major stuff, at least personally, get the companies that you know for sure.
Well, I'm of a belief that we are over warranted and over insured in this country. We put too much faith in what that's going to bring us. That warranty is only as good as the paper it's written on. And it always says limited lifetime warranty. That means a lot, folks. That doesn't mean that you're going to get a free HVAC or a free roof in 10 years from now. You need to read the fine print. You pay all this extra money to get these warranties or this insurance. It might not be worth it. You really need to weigh that out and don't put all your eggs in that basket. It's got a warranty. That don't mean you're not going to have some responsibility in it, or I've got this insurance to back that up. It doesn't mean that that's going to be 100% or even that it's going to be covered at all. So that, you know, that's my theory on that is you need to watch what you're doing, because just because it has a warranty, that company's, you know, you might want to fall back on that warranty, that lifetime warranty. 10 years from now, that company could be out of business. That warranty is no longer, even if it was not a Joe Blow down the street. You know what I'm saying? Big companies go out of business too, or medium companies go out of business too. So, I mean, that's why it is important to weigh that option between the handyman service that saves you money or the big company that gives you the warranty. You know, you just got to figure out what's right for you, and that's what you go with. But I don't personally put a lot of emphasis on a warranty being on something that I buy or do, because at the end of the day, I've been around long enough to know that it's not likely to work in your favor.
So North Carolina is caveat emptor. We're a caveat emptor state, which means buyer beware, right?
Yeah.
So Justin, what does that mean to you when you've got a buyer that's going with a home inspection?
Make sure that you have a home inspector that knows what the heck they're doing. Don't just hire a plumber to come and inspect the house. Hire an actual inspector that, you know, is certified and has experience. I have a couple different inspectors that I like to kind of go to, and each of them has experience, like from a prior work level, if you will, in different things. So one had background in like family construction, and so he knows a whole lot more in terms of like construction and roofing, things like that. I have another one who has a lot of background in the pest industry. So if I know a home is likely to have pest damage, then kind of lean his direction a little bit more, just because of that. Not saying that one versus the other couldn't handle it, but if you sort of like know that, then just try to like set people up in a little bit better stance that way. But then, you know, as you get your home inspection back, walk through it and look at all the items, and you know, just flat out tell them what you feel is, you know, important, what you feel is maybe not as pressing, and then, you know, again, like tell them, hey, look, this is ultimately your decision whether you want to pursue getting things fixed or not. But you know, once you sign the paperwork and that deed's in your name, you own it.
Was all good information. And I think that what we're going to talk about next is going to be even, I just want to skip over it. I'll be honest with you. Contingencies in today's marketplace, it's not unrealistic to have, but here on Southern Signature Unlocked, we will explore more and figure out how to go about this tricky process.